Before we start the video, quick announcement. This month, through Patreon, you can join for just $7 instead of $10 and gain access to my server, which includes notes, weekly lessons, and more. Your support helps fund thumbnails, editing, and other content. Jazakumullah khair. Now, let's get back to the video. The reason why people say that is because they want to get away from the fact that God is about the Father. Because they know if God is about the Father, not about the Trinity, then Jesus is excluding himself. Scholars like, Michael Lacona is, right?
Yeah, I've heard of him.
Right. He says this with, you know Inspiring Philosophy?
Yes.
Yeah. So Michael Lacona is a scholar, a Christian scholar that's well respected, right? He speaks with Inspiring Philosophy on this, and he says there's two ways you can interpret this. He doesn't give a third way. What you said and what I'm saying, that the Father alone by himself. He's a scholar of the Bible, and he's saying that. He's not saying there's a third way. Maybe if the Father alone then includes Jesus, right? So let me show you this.
God, how would you respond to that? Yeah, it's a good question. I think there's two ways of looking at that. So you could say, yeah, Jesus is calling him, what he's saying in the question. But it could also just as easily be when he says, why do you call me good? No one is good except God alone. He could be saying, hey, buddy, you understand what you're saying when you call me good teacher? He's not rebuking him in that sense. He's just pointing out to him by calling me good, look at the implications of that. And you're right about, and he's telling the rich man, you're right about who I am in that sense.
Interesting. So
he doesn't give the response that you're giving me now because he knows it's not viable. Like if there was such a response, he would have given it, right? So what you're saying is like really ad hoc, right? Not just that, it doesn't work with the language. Like if I say the Father alone is the true God, that's problematic for Trinitarian doctrine. But they try to twist the term only. Only is different to alone. Alone is like for example, can I say the Father existed alone in the beginning?
The Father existed alone in the beginning. No.
Okay, there you go. Why aren't you saying, oh, you can? Because he shares the same essence. Because from the language, when I say alone, that's it, no one else. It's different to only. Only you can maybe twist that. But even John 17:3, I can give you some good justification that John 17:3 should be read the way that Muslims read it, right? But regardless, let's focus more on Mark 10:18. So we've established now that to say Mark 10:18, God is referring to the Father alone, is problematic, right?
God referring to the Father alone is problematic. I wouldn't consider it as problematic, by the way.
Okay, why?
Yeah, like I think, like the same way I said, if Jesus is God and the Father is also God, and both share the same essence or nature, so the fact that the Father is being referred, just by default, the Son will not be excluded.
Brother, it's not. That only works if there wasn't alone. I just explained it to you now. Because there's alone, you can't say it refers to anyone outside of the Father. Because we just established, if I say the Father existed alone at the beginning, I can't say, no one can say that because he didn't exist alone. There's other people with him. So when I say the Father alone is good, you can't say that because there are other persons that are good besides the person of the Father. Do you understand?
Okay, because the reason why I'm saying that,
Okay.
if you look at the context of that passage, at the end of it all, you find that Jesus is telling this man, go sell whatever you have and come follow me. He does not say, go sell whatever you have and come follow the Father.
That's
and
stretching.
Follow the
You're
Father.
Listen, what is alone?
And we have to look at the
what do you
passage.
think?
What do you think alone means in this context when he says the Father alone is good? If he said the Father alone is good, what do you think that means?
By the way, even if I'm to grant to you that it means the Father, it does not exclude the Son.
How doesn't it? What does alone mean to you? What are you talking about?
It depends on what alone is. If alone is modifying God, first of all, the verse does not specialize. It does not. It is not specific to the person of the Father. That is one thing. If somebody has interpreted
it does specify. That's the whole thing I'm going to show you, that it does specify the Father. Listen, brother, I can't continue with you being disingenuous like this. You're telling me a merely possible reconciliation. You know what? It's not even possible. How do you know what you're talking about? Alone means that's it. No one outside of them. So when I say when I say Jesus is the only begotten Son of God, or He alone is the begotten Son of God, no one else can be besides Him. That's very clear. Now you need to presuppose a Trinitarian worldview and read it into this text, you need to have an ad hoc reconciliation for it to work. Everyone knows if I say my father alone is the true God, everyone knows what that means. It's apparent. You unless you want to twist the words, then you can come with other meanings. But really, bro, like, come on. The goodness here is referred to the one true God, right? Now, if Jesus says no one is good but the Father alone, that is problematic. In the same way as saying, how about this? I'll swap the questions here. So the guy goes up to Jesus and says, "Oh, good teacher, what must I do to gain eternal life?" Right? And then Jesus says,
Okay.
"Why do you call me good? No one's good but God." If the guy went up to Jesus and said, "Oh, all knowledgeable one, oh, all knowledgeable one, why, why?" And Jesus says, "Why do you call me all knowledgeable? Only God the Father is all knowledgeable." Is that problematic if Jesus said that?
Yes, if the verse said
Yes.
that,
Okay. Thank you. So substitute all knowledgeable with another necessary quality of divinity being good. So same exact thing. Not now it's not all knowledgeable, now it's good. Why do you call me good? Only God the Father is good. How is that not problematic?
the verse does not say only God the Father is good.
I'm telling you, if it did say that, I'm giving a
If
hypothetical.
it did say that, then it would be a problem, yeah.
Thank you. Okay, finally, after 15 minutes. There we go. Okay. Now, if someone believes that the Father alone is good, can he be Trinitarian?
The Father alone is good. Yeah.
But you just told me
As
that's problematic if someone. Oh my god, brother,
no, okay,
we're not getting anywhere. We're not getting anywhere.
Then
If
if somebody
we can't work brick by brick, then we can't do this, right? So the first brick we've established is that if someone says no one is good but God alone, and that referring to the Father, if Jesus did say that, then that would be problematic. In the same way that if Jesus replied to a person calling him all knowledgeable, why do you call me all knowledgeable? No one's all knowledgeable but God the Father. Why do you call me the true God? No one's the true God but God the Father. If Jesus says these things, these are problematic. Okay, now if we agree on this principle, it's problematic, it contradicts the Trinitarian doctrine, then by virtue of that, if someone says that, then they're not a Trinitarian.
I wanted to clarify something, maybe before we lay this. It would also depend on what that person is thinking about the Son, the person of the Son.
Brother. There's no possible reconciliation. As you just said, it's problematic. Is there a possible reconciliation if someone says, if is there a possible reconciliation to believing Jesus said, "Why do you call me all knowledgeable? No one's all knowledgeable but God the Father." Is there a possible reconciliation to that in the context of someone calling him that?
Not really.
There's not possible reconciliation. Thank you. So there's no possible reconciliation of Jesus saying that. If someone quotes Jesus saying something to that effect, such as denying his goodness, then that person cannot be a Trinitarian. Agreed?
No.
Why?
Again, first we would have to lay what that person believes about the Son.
What
That
is
is
there,
one thing.
brother?
And then secondly,
We already established this. Is there a possible reconciliation in quoting
then
Jesus' words as saying, "Why do you call me good? Only the Father is good"? Is there a possible reconciliation?
is there a possible reconciliation?
You said no just
Yeah.
now. You literally just said no.
I want, Auntie, you're trying to, okay, with due respect, you're trying to what? You're trying to pinpoint me. That's why I have to be careful with what I'm saying. You're trying to push me into a direct corner, and then
It necessarily follows, bro. It just necessarily follows.
no, we have to first lay what that person believes about the Son, and then also we have to understand one thing, that the doctrine of the Trinity may not have the necessary wordings, I mean the exact wordings as it was worded later on.
I
Some
don't
of the
care about
wordings
wordings.
and the
Red herring,
philosophy.
red herring. Don't worry about it. Is there again? Answer my question. Just yes or no, bro. You can think about it. No worries, but don't respond. Don't respond presumptuously at what I'm saying. Make sure you think about it. So again, Mark 10:18. I substituted good with all knowledgeable. And you're like, no. You, like Jesus can't be saying that. But when I swap it with good, you're thinking about it. Sometimes you say no. Sometimes you say maybe. Think hard about this question. Now, I gave you the analogy. Jesus is walking. A man comes up to him, "Oh, knowledgeable one, tell me about this, and that." Jesus says, "Why do you call me all knowledgeable? No one's all knowledgeable but God the Father." Would Jesus ever say this?
The verse does not say that.
Oh my god, I'm giving you a hypothetical. I'm gonna have to drop you, bro, if like you're not answering. So the hypothetical again, a man is walking. Say they see Jesus and they ask Jesus, "Oh, all knowledgeable one, can you answer my question?" Jesus says, "Why do you call me all knowledgeable? No one's all knowledgeable but God the Father." Is that something that Jesus could possibly have said and can be reconciled? Yes or no?
The verse doesn't say that.
Brother, I never get angry. I guess you're making me really angry right now from how disingenuous you are.
Dean, I'm answering your answer, just that you
No,
don't like
you're
my
not answering.
answers.
You're not answering. My question isn't about the verse right now. We're establishing a principle before we get to the verse.
No, give me
So,
the argument in regards to the verse. You are attacking the.
brother,
You are attacking.
brother, listen. Answer my question. We'll move
Oh
into the
goodness.
verse. If we don't establish bricks, if we don't establish these bricks, you're always going to assume a false conclusion. So we're establishing principles before we read, before we answer. Okay. So first, I need you to answer this. Someone is calling Jesus something that is necessary to divinity, such as being all knowledgeable. Jesus replies, "Why do you call me all knowledgeable? No one's all knowledgeable but God the Father." Is that theologically problematic for someone to believe Jesus said this?
No, it wouldn't be
It
problematic.
wouldn't be theologically problematic. Are you serious?
No.
Go ahead. Tell me why. You just said it was problematic before, by the way. This is all recorded. You said it was problematic before. So go ahead.
I also want first to lay something. Yeah, I'm going to answer it. I want also to lay something. I am not here to defend people's views. I am here to defend what the scripture says. That is the first thing I'm here to do. So somebody may have different of opinions and
I
so
don't
forth,
care.
how
I
they
don't care.
interpret verses.
I really could care less. Can you answer now? Go ahead.
One, there is nothing that if somebody has said no one is knowledgeable but the Father alone, and that person is knowledgeable, then by default, they
Not just
share
that.
the
He says, "Why do you call me all knowledgeable? No one's all
That
knowledgeable but
is
God the
just
Father alone."
asking. It's a rhetoric question. It's like you saying, why do you call me a human being? Eh? No one is a human being except so and so. It's just a rhetoric question. That means if you're a human being, you qualify that. Why do you call me bad? No
Oh
one
my
is
God,
bad except the devil. And if
Bur,
you're bad,
what's happened? Like just to summarize, we've just had a transitioning from you saying it is problematic to you coping so much. You've eaten so much copium to the point where you've been filled so much of copium that you're now spouting out this nonsense, right? About it still being rhetorical. Do you even know what they mean when they say this verse is rhetoric? They mean God is the subject of God here is referring back to the Son as the God being the Trinity. If God
yes,
here,
that is
if
true.
God here, yes, but if God here is the Father, then is Jesus the Father? That makes no sense. So rhetoric doesn't work here.
They share the same essence. They have the same nature.
Okay, watch this. Okay. Let's not work with Mark 10:18. You're like really coping on that, which is fine. Let's do something else. John 17:3. Jesus is calling himself the true God. Is he also the true God, or is only the Father the true God?
By some sense, he's also the true God.
Jesus is the true God as well. Okay, so when Jesus says no one's, when he says they may know you, the only true God.
The word only modifies the true God, not Father.
Okay, so what's the justification for that besides your presupposition?
That is just what the statement is saying. Because
what's your justification?
The justification I have for it is in verse 5. Because in verse 5, I see the Lord Jesus saying, the Father should give him the same glory he had with him before the world was created.
Doesn't matter. Jesus can pre-exist and still not be God like the Father. You know that, right?
That's not true.
That's not true? Okay. Is Theophilus a heretic?
He may have his opinion.
Right. Is he a heretic?
No.
Okay. Theophilus says Jesus pre-existed. Not that Jesus pre-existed in the ultimate sense. He says he pre-existed as an attribute of the Father, and the Father existed by himself alone. Then he begot the Son. That's his commentary in John 1:1. So if your church father is saying that the Father existed alone, and he's the only one that existed alone, and not Jesus, and Jesus was begotten by an act of will from the Father, then how are you telling me that pre-existing that literally means that you're eternal like the Father? Not only that, Theophilus believes that Jesus can be contained and the Father can't be contained. Do you believe that? Do you believe that a Trinitarian can believe that?
Again, the doctrine of the Trinity has been.
And
It
can a
depends on.
Trinitarian believe that? Just yes or no? Can you believe that Jesus?
Yes, it doesn't. It does not
I'll
contradict
let
what
you
we
explain.
believe.
Listen, Christian. I will let you explain, but answer my question, and you can explain. So Jesus, before in his pre-incarnated state, can someone believe that this Jesus can be contained?
Yes,
You can believe that and be a Trinitarian.
Jesus was
You,
literally contained in the Old Testament as the angel of the Lord. He appeared in
oh
different
my
forms.
God! In his divinity,
Yes.
so God in his divinity can be limited. Man, you're
What
a
do you mean
heretic.
it's limited?
You're one fat heretic. I'll tell you what. Jesus, before he became a human, he was contained.
Literally, in the whole of Old Testament, Jesus was appearing as the angel of the Lord.
Yes, so God was contained.
What do you mean contained?
Well, you answered my question before. I presume that you already knew what I was talking about. Why didn't you ask me before?
Can you clarify on what you mean by contained?
I'll make this very simple. Is there anything that the Son can do that the Father can't do? Very simple.
Is there anything the Son can do that the Father can't do? No.
Okay. And if that's the case, they have different powers, correct?
That is not true.
Yes, it is true. What does omnipotent mean? Go ahead.
No, land in your point.
No. You told me it's not true. Tell me why. What does omnipotent mean to you? You don't even know.
What
Like,
does that has to do?
brother, because we're talking about God's ability to do things. That's part of his omnipotence. Being omnipotent means to do anything that's logically possible. Anything that's logically possible for the Father is logically possible for the Son, right? So if that's the case, then anything the Father can do, the Son can do, and vice versa. Now, if someone says otherwise, then one doesn't have omnipotence. One lacks a logically possible capability, which undermines their omnipotence. So if the Son can do something the Father can't, they have different powers, they have different abilities, right? So like, I don't know why you disagreed with that. You're just disagreeing for the sake of disagreeing at this point. Let's be real. So let's test your disingenuity here. Here we go. Okay, I'll love to see your ta'wil here. Yeah. Can you see my screen? All right. So this is Theophilus chapter 22. Why is God said to have walked? Right? You will say then to me, you said that God are not to be contained in a place, right? Do you agree God can't be contained in a place, right?
Yes.
Okay. Can Jesus be contained in a place? Before the incarnation. Don't give me the human nature.
Before
Can Jesus in his divinity as God, can Jesus be contained in a place?
in his
Why are you
divinity,
thinking?
no.
Okay, thank you. So you contradicted yourself, right? Before you said yes.
Yeah, I have to think before I say what I say.
No
Yeah.
worries. So think.
I
Think.
retract my first statement.
I'm not, bro. I don't have a gun at your head forcing you to answer straight away. You have time to respond. If you say I need time to respond, that's fine. Don't be disingenuous though, and just respond with whatever you think about. Don't just disagree for the sake of disagreeing. Otherwise, I'm gonna drop you. I don't care. So, and be contained in the place. And how do you now say that he walked in paradise? Okay, so we established God, even Jesus in his pre-existent state cannot be contained. Do you agree if Jesus is contained in a place, right? If someone believes Jesus was contained in a place in the Old Testament, then that person doesn't believe that he's the same God as the Father because they're going to have different powers. Do you agree?
Come again, please.
Okay, I'm going to say it very slowly for you. Is it a necessary condition to be God that you can't be contained?
Yes, if it is in his divinity, yes.
Okay, brother, you don't need to add that qualifier. I've told you 5 times already. Don't worry about that. We're talking about divinity. It's very clear what we're talking about. Obviously, I'm not talking about human nature. So, in the divinity, yes, it's a necessary condition. If someone believes Jesus in his pre-existent state, before the incarnation, lacks that necessary quality of being God, does he believe that Jesus is the same God as the Father? If he believes Jesus lacks that necessary condition.
No.
Okay. Theophilus believes Jesus was contained. Hear what I say. The God and Father, indeed of all, cannot be contained, and is not found in a place, for there is no place of his rest. But his word, through him he made all things, being his power and wisdom, assuming the person of the Father and Lord of all, went to the garden in the person of God, and conversed with Adam. So he said, no, don't think it's the Father. The Father can't be contained. The Word can be contained. He's the one that spoke to Adam. So again, I'm going to ask you the same question as before. Is Theophilus a Trinitarian?
To be fair, I don't know much. I've not read much about him.
So why do you say he was a Trinitarian? If you well, you should have said you don't know.
But I believe so.
Bro, come on. Let's stop playing games, bro. Stop playing games. Like I'm gonna get someone else on. Like this is you're telling me stuff when you haven't researched. You're switching at one point you say it is wrong that Jesus would say, why are you calling me unknowing? Later you say no, there's nothing wrong with that, it's possibly reconcilable. At one point you disagree with me for the sake of disagreeing about what power means and omnipotence means. When I ask you what does omnipotence means, you don't even know the definition and you're trying to disagree with me. Do you see how disingenuous you're coming across right now?
No, that's not true. You see, kindly, with respect.
Go ahead. Yep. Go ahead. It's all recorded, by the way. Go ahead.
Yeah, you're trying to make me say the answers that your program that you assume you want me to say, but you're just disappointed that
I'm not forcing you to say anything. I take you down the road, right? The yellow brick road, down to not the Wizard of Oz, down to heresy. I'm taking you down that yellow brick road, and I'm showing you Christianity is false. And what you're doing is you don't want to follow the yellow brick road. You're saying no, I shouldn't follow that. But then later you say, you know what? I should be following the yellow brick road. That's happened about 3 times already. So if you're telling me, oh, I'm being disingenuous, whatever, my friend, or I'm trying to like trap you here and try to lead you down a path, my friend, it's an inevitable path. You just showed that's an inevitable path by you conceding every time when you tried not to fall into the trap. You saying it's a trap and me being disingenuous? No, it's inevitable. It's not me being disingenuous. It's just me giving you a good argument.
That is your opinion, I could say, but notice how you fear to go with the Bible, what the scriptures say. You want to bring in 2 people's opinions, Why are you not debating me on the Bible on what the scripture says?
I'll tell you why. Because you can't. Because as you just showed everyone in the audience today, right? And you're gonna show thousands of people once they watch this. You just showed thousands of people the reason why we have to read the Church Fathers. Because you will twist and turn and do mental gymnastics till the cows come home. Because you can twist scripture as much as you want when it's just scripture alone. But when you have the early church fathers interpreting it the same way that we do, the early church fathers that think Jesus isn't co-equal, the early church fathers that know the Greek, have the Bible, have apostolic succession supposedly.
You just lied.
What I lie about?
The church fathers believed in the deity of Christ. Stop lying, sir.
They didn't. I just showed. Okay, did Theophilus believe in the deity of Christ?
Yes, he did.
Get out of here. You just